Hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's Smart Session. This leader-focused webinar is designed to help you get ready for the end of the year. I know it's gone by really quickly, hopefully for all of you, but it's coming up. Most of us are going to be finishing school in the next few weeks or maybe early next month. And so we want to make sure that you all have the information you need to be able to set up your account so that you can head into the summer break worry-free and be ready to start next school year without any worries as well. So on this screen right here, you will see our bit.ly link in the lower left-hand corner there. That's going to give you access to this slide deck so that you can refer back to it. We've got a lot of helpful links, articles, checklists, and how-to guides to get you all set up so you can end your year successfully. And so this is your team. You have me leading your session today. My name is Aaron. I'm our instructional design manager. We also have Katie joining us as well as Caitlin on our team. So if you have any questions throughout the session today, go ahead and throw those into the chat. And one of them will be able to help you out with getting an answer. We also will hopefully be able to address any questions you have verbally as well. And we'll have some time at the end for a little bit of Q&A after the recording is done. So if you have any kind of more personalized questions for your account or your setup, we can get to those at the end. And what we're going to be covering today, kind of the three big areas we feel you'll need to get ready for the end of the year, is your roster management. So making sure whatever method of rostering you've chosen or that you're using at your school or organization, you are set up so that those rosters will be able to switch over next school year. We'll also go over user management, so kind of connected to rosters, but a lot of times you might need to make adjustments for your individual users or teachers or administrators. And then we'll go over some next steps. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. So speaking of roster management, a few things we want to bring up right away is if you are using one roster management system this year and you're planning on switching to another one next year, let's say you're doing manual rosters this year, you want to start a Clever or ClassLink Sync next year, so you're going to be changing the method of your rostering. That's definitely something we want to make sure we're helping you through. So connect with your IT department or whoever's in charge of your rosters, as well as contact our support team so that we can make sure you're going through all of those steps correctly. But for the rest of you, when it comes to ending your academic year and making sure your rosters are all clear, we're going to be talking about the academic year itself in Gradient. For those of you who may be unaware, maybe forget, the academic year is sort of the bucket that we place all of your data into for the 22-23 school year, where it has an end date to it, so that next school year, when you start the 23-24 school year, your data is separate so that it doesn't clog up teachers' views and you can keep everything kind of segmented. We'll also be within academic years, there are terms that have been created. And so we'll be talking about how you can adjust those terms if need be. Most of those will be kind of related to if you're planning on using Gradient during summer school, you can set up a term for that. We'll talk about how to go over that, as well as making sure, really just making sure your teachers have enough time to collect all of their scores and input their grades for this current year and current terms. And then we will also talk about prepping for the 23-24 school year. You're going to want to no longer send us data for this year, and eventually you're going to want to send data for next year. So we have some tips to get you through that. What you'll also find on this slide is this image of our end of year checklist. If you click on that image, it will take you to a page where you can actually download that as a PDF so that you can go through and check off, making sure you're doing everything, just checking all of the information you need to make sure you're ready for the end of the year. So I'm actually going to jump into Gradient and kind of show you where you can find all of this information. So in my Gradient account, when I first log in, I'm going to be in teacher mode. When you see the blue bar at the top for schools and districts, and you have these 9 tiles, this is teacher mode. To make all of these changes we're going to want to make or adjustments, you're going to want to go to admin mode. So if you click in your account menu at the top right and select admin mode, you'll be taken to the screen with the pink bar at the top. It says admin mode, and you'll have these options available to you here. So the first thing we talked about was checking on that academic year. So when I click my account menu again from admin mode and go to settings, so in my admin mode settings, an option for academic year is there. So when I click on academic year, I'll be able to see this enabled button tells me I'm in a current year. This is our demo account for Gradient, so the dates are a little off. So excuse that yours will probably, hopefully not say 2019 to 2020, but you will also have an end date here. That is the date that either you set, or if you never touched this, the default date, I believe, is June 30th in the system. What that means is on that date, all of your current data is going to be paused. The academic year is going to be paused. Teachers will no longer be able to scan in data for this year. You won't be able to import rosters for this year. This is the end of the academic year. So if this date makes sense for you, there's nothing you need to do. If you feel like you need additional time, maybe you're planning on having summer school and teachers are going to be scanning scores throughout the summer, you can adjust the end date to anything you like. When you click adjust end date, you'll be able to select a new date that makes sense for your organization. And so really all you need to be aware of here is making sure that that academic year falls after teachers are going to need to be scanning in scores and maybe doing grade transfers. So just push that academic year to a date that makes sense. That is after teachers will be using Gradient this year and before you'll need to set up anything for the 23-24 school year. So once again, that academic year is in your admin mode settings, which you can access in your account menu. Something else to be aware of here, when you're ready to start next year, you'll also need to come here and enable the new academic year. So you're going to want to start after this current academic year pauses. Next year, you'll be able to come in and start the 23-24 academic year and set an end date for that in the future, which will then allow you to start importing rosters for the 23-24 school year. All right, so that is academic year. Now, within your academic year are terms. So academic year is the largest bucket. Within the academic year are separate terms. Most folks tend to use a quarter or semester term. A lot of our elementary schools just use a year-long term. Regardless, whatever your terms have been set as, you can find those under More and clicking on Terms. And so these are going to appear here. They'll have the academic year they're associated with, a start date and an end date. The important thing to note about terms is that your terms fit within the current academic year. If you're planning on doing summer school, you may want to create a separate summer school term with the appropriate dates, again, that fall within the academic year. So that is how you can add terms. You can simply click on the new button there. If you're sending over this information from Clever ClassLink, terms are automatically updated. There's nothing you need to do manually there. One other thing to note about terms and within the academic year, if you go back into your admin mode settings, is term padding is an option. And what this allows for is, let's say your academic year ends on June 30th, school ends on June 10th. If you wanted to give teachers like a week buffer so that after the term ends, they still have time to scan in scores for students, this just gives them a little bit of time after the end of a term to continue scanning in for their students. So if you have, grades are due a week after school ends, you can set up term padding for your teachers. The only thing to note is that this does need to be within the confines of the current academic year. So if your academic year ends June 30th, the term padding is not going to go beyond that. So just really adjusting all of these dates to make sure your teachers have enough time to scan in their student information. All right. And when it comes to prepping rosters for next year, all of any roster imports that are happening, if you're sending us Clever or ClassLink, or you have a file being imported through SFTP, all of that is going to be paused automatically when your academic year ends. what you want to make sure of is going into your system and pausing it there as well. So Gradient is going to automatically stop pulling in information when the academic year ends, but make sure you pause your Clever or ClassLink or SFTP sync, because we don't want to risk you accidentally starting a new academic year and old data coming in next year. We want to prevent that as much as possible. So just make sure when you're done with this academic year, you're pausing any data syncs that are coming from other systems. Something else to note, and we have on this slide as well, we've communicated this already, but and we'll be talking about it probably a little bit more next month. But if you are doing a manual file import, our file spec has changed. We've made some updates. We've added some more required fields, but also kind of tightened up the requirements for the import file to help prevent any errors from happening. So we feel that these updates are going to help you get more accurate data in with fewer errors. And so you can read all about the new import file by clicking on this link. All of our current import file documents and combined import instructions have been updated with the new information. So nothing you need to do right now if you're importing files, but next school year, that file template will need to change. So you have information there to prep you for that. And I'm going to move on. So that's all kind of your overall roster information that you want to check on. We also have some tips for individual users. The first thing you want to check is to make sure that your staff are all updated. If you're having any changes in staffing, if you're having new administrators come in, there may be some things you want to do before next school year regarding getting them an account already or making sure they have the correct permissions. If you have teachers moving into leadership roles or out of leadership roles, you can adjust their permissions. We're going to want to make sure that related to that, your access groups, your system administrators are accurate, your instructional leaders are accurate. We'll talk about how you can deactivate staff. So if you have any staff that are leaving, you can deactivate their accounts so that they will no longer be able to access them. And also how you can manually add in folks for the new year. So going back into Gradient, when you're in admin mode and you click on the staff page, this is where you will see all of your staff members. Anyone who is listed here is the default view right now is teachers. So these are going to be folks that have classes attached to their accounts currently. So they have students and classes rostered to them. If you filter for all active staff, that list will change and it will include any administrators that have accounts or counselors or anything like that who may not teach classes but have accounts in Gradient. You'll see everyone there. If you want to edit any information on a teacher and you click on the left, there is an edit option up here. This will let you edit any information about them if you have created them manually. So you'll see here a little building icon that tells me this account was created manually. If you see a C icon or a little cloud icon, that means that person came in through a Clever or ClassLink sync. And so you'll be able to see this information in the edit screen, but you may not be able to change the information. If they came from Clever or ClassLink, that information cannot be edited. You would want to change any information in the system of record for those folks. What you can edit, no matter who or how you created the account, is their associated schools. So let's say you're in charge of multiple schools, you can manage which schools that person is associated with. This person, again, is not a teacher, so they're not checked here. They don't have any classes, but I can associate them with multiple schools or even all schools if I want them to have district level access. So if you have a teacher who's moving into an administrative role and they're going to need to be a system administrator next year, you can come in here and associate them with all schools or vice versa. You can adjust those settings however you like. So that can all be done through the editing staff window, and you can save changes there. What we can also look at is your access groups. So when you're in your access groups, our default system administrators, school support, and instructional leaders are here. You can click into the groups and click members to see who is a part of that group. So if you have folks who are system administrators now and are not going to need that access later, you can always remove them from this group so they will no longer have that admin mode permission. Likewise, you can add folks in. So anyone who's going to be moving into a leadership position, maybe you have new department chairs coming in next year and you want to give them instructional leader access, you can go into this group and add new instructional leaders to that group. So just going in, checking out those access groups, making sure the folks that should have access have it, and the folks that you no longer need to have access, you can remove them from those groups. One thing to be aware of, you'll notice in my demo account here, I have multiple schools listed. So if you are a school level administrator in a district account, just making sure that you're not removing folks who aren't at your school and keeping kind of things to yourself. Let's see what else. We talked about staff deactivating. So if you have any folks leaving, teachers who are no longer going to be at the school, if you select the staff member, you'll also see the option to deactivate. This is going to prevent them from being able to log in and access their accounts and any features. Their data won't be deleted. They just won't be able to access their account. So you can just click that deactivated button and you'll see a little deactivated icon next to their name in the staff page. Also, if you have maybe a new administrator coming in next year and you want to give them access early, you can create a new staff member manually by clicking the new button and create new staff. And you can then manage their associated schools and add them to any access groups you need to add them to give them permission. All right. And then we also have some new permissions coming next year. We have a PLC management and a new version of class groups. We're kind of changing the way class groups are used. Currently, most folks use them for kind of co-teacher purposes, and we're changing some permissions around that. We've added co-teachers. So new stuff coming for class groups and permissions. Stay tuned next month. Our product highlights are going to talk about all of the new features that are coming in the new year. So be sure to join us next month for that. Finally, just kind of next steps, getting ready. The first thing we always want you to be aware of is checking out your plan and making sure you are renewing your account early so that access is not interrupted next school year. An easy way to check when your account is expiring is to go back to your teacher mode and click on settings from teacher mode. From there, you'll see under your account profile, your organization and the expiration date that's tied to that. So that's going to tell you when your account expires. You also, if you're a leader, should be getting some messages from us leading up to that date. But renewing early, a lot of times folks renew right in the middle of summer when everyone is gone. And so we don't want you to come back in August and folks are trying to get access and they don't have access, and we want to avoid any headaches like that. So prepare before the end of the school year. Make sure you know when your account is renewing. We have linked right here the steps you can take to get that process started. If you received an email from us letting you know your account is expiring soon, we also have the steps listed in that email for you. Setting a calendar reminder to pause your rosters, also to enable your new academic year in the fall. Make sure your data in Clever ClassLink is ready to go before you do that. So just kind of setting some reminders for yourself that that's something you're going to want to do. And also looking ahead to next year, planning if there's any integrations you're going to want to set up. If you don't already, we do have integrations with Canvas and Schoology so that teachers can use those platforms to administer gradient assessments. There's changes, not changes, but more updates coming to that we'll be talking about in our product updates next month as well. We also have the Respondus Lockdown browser that's available. It's automatically available to you. You just need to do a little bit of administering to any devices in your school, loading that browser onto your devices, and that can be used next year. So some resources here on those integrations. And also at the bottom here, this survey is just something you click on that link and it's going to have you make a copy. This is for you to use. We're not collecting any of this information. This is just a way for you to kind of survey your staff and find out what type of, how your teachers or staff are using Gradient, how often they use it, so you can kind of help, discover who your instructional leaders are on campus, and also find ways to help you support your teachers in their use of Gradient. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. You're making a copy of it, so you can edit any of the questions to your liking. But we just provide that for you so you can get a feel for how folks are using Gradient at your school and any support that they need. And then coming up, I've already mentioned, we have our Smart Session, our last one of the year. Next year is our summer, or next month is our summer product release. So that will be happening on June 7th. Our product director, Natalie, will be leading that session, talking about all the awesome new stuff we have coming out. And you can click on this image right here, and it's going to take you to the page to register for that, although most likely you're already registered since you signed up for this one as well. And so that is it. Katie, were there any questions in the chat that came up?
Not yet. I kept asking to see if anyone had anything for us. I think they're just absorbing it all. So if you did have a question come up, feel free to post it because we're going to stay on.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, and we'll stay on for some Q&A. But thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a smooth end of the school year.